What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Columbus. We have Curtis Blaydes going against Chris Daukaus.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we're back breaking down another card here this week, UFC Columbus. Pretty solid card, 13 fights. We were supposed to have 15. Looks like a couple fights fell off. We do have a couple short notice replacements stepping in. A couple newcomers on the card. My favorite fight on the card is definitely going to be that Askarov Kai France fight. And just as a whole, I think it's a pretty fun card, and I think it's going to be a pretty good one here. So, as always, before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Getting really close to that 15K goal. Would be cool to hit that in the very near future. Also, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com if you do want more content. Lots of stuff going on over there. Almost approaching 200 members on the website. So thank you guys so much for that. And other than that, going to be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then Saturday, 1 hour prior to the prelims. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you not miss out on all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully bouncing back in terms of the picks. Last week were not good. Hopefully they're better this week. Was still able to scrape out some profit. Last week, thank you to the Paul Craig fight finishing, but it's been a phenomenal 2022. Hopefully keep that up this week and going forward. I feel like I've fixed a lot of things from last year. I've learned a lot of things, and it's been a very, very good year thus far. So hopefully keep it up, and we'll hopefully keep it up on this card here. Not going to have a ton of action on this card. Honestly, I do have one bet thus far, and I'm looking at going pretty hard on another spot on this card, but not a ton sticking out initially. So let's talk through it here. We'll start with the very first fight of the night. We have Luis Saldana going against Bruno Souza, and we will start with Luis Saldana, who is 31 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, 15-7, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Bruno Souza, 26 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach, 10-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and it's very close. Saldana opening up -110, he's currently -115. Souza opening up -110, he's currently -105. So, yeah, this is a very interesting fight to call here. First fight of the night should be an entertaining one, I guess, or it could be pretty boring considering Souza fights, they're typically very boring. I remember his debut against Bagdasaryan, and I think he might be getting a little bit overrated because he didn't get knocked out by Melsik. I know a lot of people, including me, thought that Melsik would go out there and knock him out, and He looked good. I will say that's the best version of Souza I've seen, but the problem with Souza, and this is a huge problem for me, this guy just doesn't have any volume. I mean, he landed 46 significant strikes in his debut against Bagdasaryan. He did attempt 4 takedowns, but even outside of the UFC, I mean, this guy's not throwing volume at all. I remember the Camilla Kirk fight. It was kind of a fight where they kind of just looked at each other for 3 rounds. It's not exciting. He's able to beat these lower level guys, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to win fights at this level with that very, very low volume style. I do think Saldana is going to be the better striker. I do think he has more tools on the feet, and I think he's much more dangerous. The thing with Souza here, if he's not knocking somebody out, it's going to be really hard for him to win minutes in the UFC. Bruno Souza, only a 10% knockout rate, as in he has only 1 knockout in his career. He does have 2 submissions, but yeah, I don't see him knocking out Saldana. I don't see him submitting Saldana. I really don't see him winning minutes against Saldana. But the problem with Saldana is the gas tank. This guy is very good early on, but he does slow down after the first round. That's my only concern. If Saldana had a better gas tank, I would be smashing him in this spot, but the gas tank's horrendous. But I do think at the very least, although I think he's going to be tired, I think he can still throw more volume than Souza and win I want to say fairly, decisive decision just by doing more. I mean, Souza just does not do enough for my liking. So I'm going to take Luis Saldana to win. I'm going to take him to win by probably a really greasy decision where he wins the first round. He starts to slow down, but I still think he's going to be able to do enough. So give me Saldana to win the decision on the first fight of the night. All right, next we have Aleksei Kisarayev going against Denis Toliuin. Kisarayev is going to be making his debut here. He is 31 years old, guy from the Contender Series. Cannot wait to see him. But he's 31 years old, 5'9" with a 74-inch reach, 13-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Denis Toliuin coming in on short notice here. 33 years old, 6'1". Not sure on the reach there, but he is 10-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds, and Kizarev is a huge favorite. I believe at this point he's the biggest favorite on the card. It's between him and Blaydes, but Kizarev opened up minus 300. He's currently minus 450. And Tullian opened up plus 250. He's currently plus 350, and I do expect those odds to probably continue to get wider. Some things right off the bat we had to be kind of concerned about. Kizarev, he's very inactive. This is a guy that's fought 2 times, like in the last 4 years. He fought a year and 6 months ago on the Contender Series. Prior to that, 3 years and 11 months ago. Prior to that, 4 years and 5 months ago. So very, very inactive. This is a guy that's been pulling out of a lot of fights, and he's very, very undersized for the division as well at 5'9", and he's going to be undersized in this fight against Denis Tullian. But, from what I see from Kizarev, this guy's a beast. He has a lot of power on the feet. I've seen him hurt guys on the feet, but it's his wrestling that's very good. It's his grappling that's very good. And on top of that, this guy has legit ground and pound. If he gets on top of you, you're going to be in some serious trouble. Denis Tullian was able to actually watch a good amount of fights of this guy, and I will say, Tullian looks really good on the feet. He looks very dangerous. He's a finisher, but I think the problem with Tullian is going to be that takedown defense. I have seen him taken down really a lot of times, and I have seen him submitted before. I think he's been submitted in 2 of his 5 losses. He's also been knocked out before. If this fight does stay standing for long periods of time, Tullian's probably going to have some success, maybe hurt Kizarev, but Kizarev's going to get this guy to the ground. He's going to get on top and probably finish him in the first round. The problem with Tullian, and this is the biggest problem, is just the level of competition is just horrendous. I mean, it was just like 2 or 3 years ago where he's going out there and, fighting 0-0 guys. It's one of those guys where he's looking really good. He's looking really dangerous, but he's fighting like low level competition. So, yeah, I got to go with Kizarev here. Big step up in competition from, some of the guys that Tullian has been facing. And although I do think Tullian looks pretty solid, it's just a big step up, and he's going to have no answer for that ground game of Kizarev. So I get why Kizarev's a big favorite. I get why money's coming in on him. And I do think Kizarev probably does finish Tullian, probably in that first round. If Kizarev gets on top, he's either going to submit him or get him out of there with some ground and pound. So I'm going to say Kizarev first round TKO. And looking forward to seeing his debut here. All right, really good fight here. David Dvorak going against Matheus Nicolau. And let us start with Dvorak. He is 29 years old, 5'5", with a 68-inch reach. He is 20-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We have Nicolau, who is 29 years old as well, 5'6", with a 66-inch reach, 17-2-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and it is Dvorak, who is a slight favorite. He opened up at minus 110. He's currently minus 136, and then Nicolau opened up minus 110. He's currently plus 116. So, yeah, Dvorak, starting to get some hype, it looks like. This is a guy that is 20-3, and he's not lost in, I think, nearly 10 years. I think the last time he lost was, in 2012. So he's on a big win streak here, but we got to admit, this is going to be a pretty big step up in competition. He does make his debut against Bruno Silva. Silva was able to get him down 3 times, but he was able to work his way back up in that fight. I like that win there, and then he beats Jordan Espinoza, and then he beats the Ronderos guy who came in on 2 days short notice. So not the best competition in the world for Dvorak, but he's looking really good. He was able to get a finish in his last fight. He hurt Ronderos bad on the feet. He got him down and then eventually submitted him there. But yeah, Nicolau, I think this guy is, pretty much underrated in the majority of his fights. This is a guy that has fought the better competition in this fight. His only loss in the UFC is against Dustin Ortiz. He came back in 2021 against Manel Kopp, won a very close decision there against a very good fighter, Manel Kopp, and then won a decision against Tim Elliott, which is aging very well, especially considering Tim Elliott just went out there and upset Tagir Ulanbekov. So, yeah, I really like Nicolau. I really like both guys, actually, and this is a very tough fight to call. You have Nicolau, who's a very solid striker. The chin has always been a concern. He's been knocked out twice. He's been hurt a couple times. Ortiz knocked him out in the UFC. He's been knocked out once outside the UFC as well. He got knocked out in his UFC debut, knocked down in his UFC debut back in 2015. So the chin's definitely a concern, and Dvorak can crack, but I think Nicolau can mix in some takedowns here. He's a black belt in BJJ, solid wrestling, and then on the feet, I see it being very close and competitive. So I kind of agree with the opener a little bit more that this should be towards a pick'em, especially when you consider that Nicolau is going to have fought the better competition. Nicolau is going to probably be the more well-rounded fighter with that ground game. He's going to be probably the better grappler as well, and I think he can mix in takedowns here and have a little bit of success. But yeah, it's a tough fight, a close fight. I'm going to side with the dog here and Nicolau to win a very close decision in this one. All right, next we have Batgerel going against Chris Gutierrez, and Gutierrez is stepping in on about a month's notice. It was supposed to be Batgerel going against Montel Jackson, but Gutierrez got the call about a month ago. So should be somewhat prepared here against who is 32 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. He is 12-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Chris Gutierrez, 30 years old, 5'9" with a 67-inch reach, 17-3-2 and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Batgerel opened up -150. He's currently -155, and Chris Gutierrez opened up +130, and he is currently +135. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Chris Gutierrez. I like his style. I like those leg kicks quite a bit. But you kind of look through his record in the UFC, and you can tell that he's fighting a lot of grapplers, guys that are going to want to take him down. Cody Durden, wrestler. Felipe Caloris, wrestler. Vince Morales, striker. But Morales probably should have went for takedowns in that fight, honestly. Geraldo de Freitas tried to get him down as well. Barcelos took him down. The only guy that really tried to strike with him outside of Vince Morales, which I thought was a bad game plan, was Andre Ewell. And it was a close-ish fight. It was a clear Gutierrez fight, or a clear Gutierrez win. But, Andre Ewell was, making competitive at least early. Batgerel, this guy is absolutely no joke. This guy has a ton of power, back-to-back-to-back knockouts. And I will say, it is over some, questionable guys like a 42-year-old Guido Canetti, over Kevin Natividad, who's probably not UFC caliber, and I think he's been cut since then. Knocking out Brandon Davis was impressive to me, considering that was the very first time Brandon Davis had been knocked out. Brandon Davis, a guy that's typically very tough, and Dana just ran through this guy. And again, I'm just really impressed with the power of Dana. And not only that, a lot of times when we have guys with crazy power, we don't see a ton of volume to back it up, but this guy is throwing a ton of volume. Batgerel landing 6.28 significant strikes per minute, compared to Gutierrez's 4.63, which is pretty high volume, but you're going to have Gutierrez with the leg kicks. You're going to have the power of Dana. It's an interesting fight. It really is. I will say we are in the bigger cage, which I do think that does favor a guy like Chris Gutierrez, but I see Dana hurting Gutierrez. I don't know if he knocks out Gutierrez, but Dana is going to throw a ton of volume. He's going to be out-voluming Chris Gutierrez. I think he can hurt him here or there, but I'm going to say the bigger shots come from Dana. Gutierrez will probably have success with those leg kicks, but I don't know if it'll be enough here. Yeah, it's a close fight. I'm going to go Dana, the harder hitter. Maybe he knocks out Gutierrez, but I'll say he wins a pretty competitive decision here. So give me Dana Batgerel by decision. Next, we have Sara McMann going against Karol Rosa. We have Sara McMann, who is 41 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, 12-6 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Karol Rosa, she is 27 years old, 5'5" with a 67.5-inch reach, 15-3 and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds, and Rosa is a big favorite, open up -200. She's currently -212, and McMann opened up +170 and is currently +182. And this fight is very interesting. So we'll take a look at Sara McMann, and she is 41 years old, and that is a huge concern, because if she wasn't 41, I'd honestly probably pick her here. Because you take a look at Sara McMann, the last time she fought was against Juliana Pena, and she was actually a favorite in that fight against the champ. She was a favorite against Juliana Pena, and she was able to win that first round pretty convincingly. She was able to take down Pena twice, control her for 3 minutes, and then she won the second round as well, taking her down and controlling her for 4 minutes, and then she kind of tires out, and Pena's able to take her down and then submit her in the third round. So she was a favorite against Pena. She was looking good up until she wasn't. And, just going back and looking through her career, that's kind of the story of Sara McMann. She's looking really good early, and then she's getting caught in a submission. She's been submitted 4 times in the UFC. She got submitted in her last fight against Juliana Pena. She got submitted against Amanda Nunes back in the day, 2015. And by the way, she was a favorite in that fight as well. So, and then she gets submitted by Ketlin Vieira, black belt, Mary Renault, black belt. But other than that, she's winning her fight. So it's either she's getting submitted or she's winning. She did get knocked out by Ronda Rousey way back in the day as well. But yeah, McMann's really good. Her wrestling's top notch, some of the best wrestling you'll see in the division. And there's just some question marks I have for Karol Rosa. On paper, her takedown defense is 91%, but we got to take a look at who she's fought. Betch Correa, Jocelyn Edwards, Vanessa Mello, and Laura Procopio. Not high-level wrestlers, really at all. And I did go back and watch some fights outside the UFC for Rosa, and I have seen her taken down a good amount of times, but, she's able to get reversal sweeps, end up on top. I think her ground game's solid. Rosa is a black belt in her own right. And again, this is a very tricky fight because Sara McMann, she has about a round and a half, 2 rounds of gas. I don't like that. She's 41 years old. I don't like that. And I don't think she can compete on the feet with Karol Rosa. I don't think she can keep up with the volume. So, very close fight. It really is. I know, Rosa's a very popular parlay piece this week, but I think Sara McMann's going to have success early. I think she's going to be able to take down Rosa early and probably win that first round, honestly. I just think as the fight goes on, McMann's going to start to slow down. The takedowns are going to start getting stuffed, and I think Rosa eventually finishes McMann, whether it is a submission or whether it is a knockout. But I'm going to take Karol Rosa for a late, second or third round finish against Sara McMann. And this is something I'm going to be approaching from a live betting standpoint. I really, truly believe McMann probably wins that first round. Her wrestling is legit, 41 years old or not. But it's the cardio that's really making me stay away from this fight. So I'm going to pick Karol Rosa to win. I'll say a third round KO for Karol Rosa in this fight. But yeah, should be a very fun fight here. Give me Karol Rosa, third round KO. Weathers the early storm and gets it done late there. All right, Marc Diakiese going against Slava Claus. We got Slava Borschev here. Should be a fun fight. Fan favorite, and Slava making his return after a phenomenal debut against Dakota Bush. We have Slava, who is 30 years old, 5'11" with a 69-inch reach, 6-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Marc Diakiese, 29 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach, 14-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we see that Borschev opened up -155. He's currently -190. And Diakiese opened up +135. He is currently +165. So yeah, another tough fight for me here. I really like the striking of Slava. I do think he's going to have the striking advantage here. I like the volume of Slava, the power of Slava, but there is a huge hole in his game, and that hole is going to be the takedown defense. This guy, he is training at Team Alpha Male, and I do expect it to, hopefully start improving a little bit, but he's getting taken down in every single fight I watched. Literally, I went back and watched every single fight that I could of his, and he's getting taken down a concerning amount. So the takedown defense is definitely a liability, and even in his debut against Dakota Bush was able to take him down a couple times in that first round that lasted only 3.5-4 minutes. So the takedown defense is a big concern here, but what I will say about Borschev is his get-up game is elite. His get-up game is very, very good. So when he does get taken down, he has a good ability of getting back up, and I do like that about him. Diakiese, this guy, he's well-rounded. He's a very good striker as well. As I said, I do give the striking advantage to Borschev, the volume advantage to Borschev, but Diakiese has wrestled before. He has mixed in takedowns. He was able to take down Lando Venata, who has very good takedown defense. He took him down 4 times. He took down Joe Duffy 3 times, so he definitely can mix in the takedowns here, and I think that's why this fight could play out somewhat close, but I think I've been going back and forth on this one. I think I'm going to slightly edge the Borschev side here because his get-up game is so good, because I think he's going to have a striking advantage. I think he will get taken down, but I think the striking exchanges are going to be won heavily in favor of Borschev as well. So I'll go Borschev, but I don't feel overly confident about it. I think Diakiese can make this close. He can make it competitive. I mean, he had a very close competitive fight against Rafael Fiziev. He had a very, and I think he can make this close, but I'm going to take Borschev to win. I'm going to say he gets taken down probably a lot. I'm going to say he gets taken down 3, 4, 5 times, but what I will say, like I said, Borschev has a very, very impressive get-up game. I think he gets taken down, I think he gets up, and I think he wins those striking exchanges on the feet. So I'm going to slightly edge Borschev. I don't really love the money line, but as far as a pick, I will take Borschev to win, and Borschev to win by decision. All right, next we have Neil Magny going against Max Griffin. We have Neil Magny, who is 34 years old, and he is 6'3" with a 80-inch reach, 25-8 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Max Griffin, 36 years old, 5'11", 76-inch reach, 18-8 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Magny is a pretty big favorite, opening up -150. He's currently -210, and Max Griffin opened up Plus 130 is now plus 180. And this can be a big step up in competition for Max Griffin. And by the way, I think Max Griffin's been looking phenomenal as of late, but he's looking phenomenal against Carlos Condit, Song Kanan, Ramiz Brahimaj as well. And prior to that, loses to Alex Oliveira, lost to Alex Morono. It's gonna be a step up where you have Neil Magny, who's been fighting really good guys like Jeff Neal, Michael Chiesa, Robbie Lawler, guys like that, the Leach, Ponzinibbio. And I pretty much just like Magny, anywhere this fight goes. Magny's going to be the longer fighter, the rangier fighter. He's going to have a height advantage of 4 inches, a reach advantage of 4 inches. He's going to have the more experience, better competition. I like the striking of Magny. I like the clinch work of Magny. I will say if Max Griffin comes in here with a takedown heavy game plan, I think that could be kind of a path to victory for him. Magny, not the best takedown defense, but it's just not something Griffin does. He doesn't wrestle enough for my liking. If I knew for a fact that Griffin would come out here and attempt a million takedowns, I probably would take him, but it's just not Griffin's game. So I got to go Magny. I think he's going to win this fight by decision. But yeah, give me Magny by decision here. All right, we have Jennifer Maia going against Manon Fiorot. We have Manon Fiorot, who is 32 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach, 8-1 and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Jennifer Maia, 33 years old, 5'4", 64-inch reach, 19-8-1 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So Maia's going to be at, she's going to be 1 year older. Maya, she's going to be at a 3-inch height disadvantage and then a 2-inch reach disadvantage there. Manon Fiorot is an absolute beast. I mean, that's her nickname, and rightfully so. I think she deserved that. Her lone loss comes in her debut in MMA against Leah McCourt in a fight where, I thought she won, but McCourt was able to take her down here or there and win a very close decision. But I think Fiorot personally should be undefeated here. And this on paper, this is a horrendous matchup because we all know Jennifer Maia by now. She's going to come forward. She's going to throw volume. She's going to make it greasy. And she has a great ground game. BJJ black belt in Jennifer Maia. But the problem with Maia is she doesn't use it. She doesn't get the fights down to the mat. She doesn't even try. And when she does try, she's unsuccessful. She averages 0.25 takedowns per 15 minutes. That means she has only 2 takedowns in her entire career, one against Valentina and then one against Caitlin Chukagian back in their first fight. So, for her to win this fight, for Maia to win this fight, she needs to get takedowns. She's not going to go out there and win a 15-minute striking fight with Manon Fiorot. You got to expect Maia to go for takedowns, right? But the problem is she's literally not going to. It would be smart to, but it's just not something she does, which is a huge mistake. And in this fight, it's going to be a big mistake. So you got to go Fiorot here. I get why Fiorot is a big favorite, a huge favorite. And she's only becoming a wider favorite. She's now minus 400. She opened at minus 225, and Maia's plus 300. And I think it's just going to keep getting wider and wider. I will say this is a big step up in competition for Manon Fiorot. Big step in competition. But, it just stylistically, how does Maia win this fight if she does not go for takedowns, right? So outside of Manon Fiorot making a mistake, and she did make a couple mistakes. I wouldn't say mistakes, but it was something I did not like. She took down Mara Bueno Silva a couple times, and I did not necessarily agree with that. I mean, it was great to see that she is well-rounded, and she is, but, Mara Bueno Silva, she has like 3 or 4 submissions in the UFC. She's very dangerous, and Manon Fiorot was clearly winning on the feet. I would not recommend her taking down Jennifer Maia here, but maybe she will, and if she does, that's Maia's path to victory, probably like an armbar from guard, but other than that, it's just hard to pick Jennifer Maia here. She's not going to go for takedowns. She's going to get outstruck. I think this is Manon Fiorot probably all day, so give me Fiorot. The price tag is pretty much unbettable at this point, but I will take Manon Fiorot to win. I'll take her to win by decision. All right, we have Aleksei Oleinik going against Ilir Latifi, and this is a very weird fight, but we have Latifi, 30 years old, 5'10" with a 75-inch reach, 15-8 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Aleksei Oleinik, 34 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach, 59, 16-1 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Latifi opened up minus 150. He's currently minus 175. And Oleinik opened up plus 130. He's currently plus 150. We have Aleksei Oleinik, who is 44 and a half years old, almost 45. He's turning 45, I believe, in June, right? So almost 45, and that has to make him the oldest fighter on the roster. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of an older fighter at 45 years old. But he's getting up there in age, and not only that, this guy has a lot of tread on the tires. I think this guy has something like 76 professional fights. This guy's been fighting before I was born, which is it's completely crazy. But he's still going. But we know how Oleinik fights at this point. On the feet, I actually think, weirdly enough, he's probably going to have a striking advantage here, just based off the fact that he's going to throw volume. He's going to have a massive reach advantage. And Ilir Latifi is one of the most low-volume fighters you'll find. Latifi, you take a look at his last fight that went 15 minutes. The dude only landed, against Tanner Boser, 10 significant strikes in 15 minutes. Against Derek Lewis, a fight that went 15 minutes, only landed 5. So in the last 30 minutes of fight time for Latifi, this guy has landed 15 strikes. That's a concern. So at least Oleinik, he's going to have that reach, that awkward striking style. He's going to throw things. So I think on the feet, unless he's getting knocked out, he should have the advantage. But we know how this fight's probably going to go. Latifi's going to take down Oleinik. Oleinik has virtually no takedown defense. He's going to welcome the takedown. And basically it's going to be, can the 45-year-old Oleinik submit Ilir Latifi off his back with something? And it's possible. It definitely is possible. But I do like the fact that Latifi is going to be younger. I think Latifi's probably going to have the slightly better cardio. I think both guys don't have great cardio, but slightly better in favor of Latifi, you could say. And then on top of that, if you do like Latifi, a good thing is he's never been submitted in 23 fights. So I think Oleinik is, Ezekiel choke or bust here for the most part. I think he's going to have to get something off his back. And I think Latifi just takes him down and pretty much lays on him for 15 minutes. I think this has potential to be the most boring fight, not only of the card of the year, because this is how I see it playing out. Latifi takes down Oleinik and just lays on him, doesn't throw anything. And Oleinik is going to try to go for submissions. He's going to gas out after the first round. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get greasy. But give me Latifi to win a very weird decision. This is a very weird fight. I don't like this fight. I think they could have, put Oleinik against somebody more, somebody else there. But yeah, Latifi, boring, grinding decision. Weird fight there. This fight should be good, though. We have Matt Brown going against Bryan Barberena. We have Matt Brown, who's going to be, I believe, in his hometown of Columbus there. So, looking forward to that. And we'll start with Matt Brown here. He is 41 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach, 23-18, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Bryan Barberena, 32 years old, 6 foot, 72-inch reach, 16-8, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And last time I checked, it was a pick'em. And it still is a pick'em. So Barberena opened up plus 130, currently minus 110. Matt Brown opened up minus 115. He's currently minus 110. So this fight was supposed to happen, I want to say late last year, and I'm not sure what happened. I think Brown potentially tested positive for COVID, but it was weird because Bryan Barberena was like a minus 150, minus 160 favorite back then, and now this fight's being rebooked, and it's now a pick'em. But we will start with Matt Brown here. The guy obviously has a ton of experience, and he's 41, which is a concern, but you take a look at Matt Brown, and I think he's been looking, better than Bryan Barberena. And I don't know what it is with Bryan Barberena. Since that Luque fight, he just does not look the same. I think that Luque war that he was in just took a lot out of him. It does not look like the same Bryan Barberena. Now Barberena is going out there. He's losing to Jason Witt. He's getting dropped by Jason Witt twice in the fight. It just was really not a great look. And, Barberena is dealing with a lot of health issues. I know he has problems with his back as well. And, I think all those wars are catching up to Barberena. So although Barberena is going to be much younger, 9 years younger, I feels like just Barberena is washed at this point, it looks like. And he's still able to win some of these fights against these lower level guys like a Darian Weeks and Anthony Ivy. But still in those fights, he's still getting taken down a lot. Like the takedown defense of Barberena has looked horrendous. And I think Brown could mix some takedowns here. Weeks takes down Barberena 4 times. Witt takes down Barberena 8 times. Ivy takes down Barberena 5 times. Just does not look like the same Barberena at this point. So I'm going to take the 41-year-old here to actually knock out Bryan Barberena. We see that Matt Brown still has that power in his hands with his knockout in his last fight against Lima. And I just don't think the chin of Barberena is there anymore. This is a guy that has never had good striking defense in Barberena. It's currently sitting at 45%, and typically he could get away with it because he has the chin to back it up. He has that toughness, but getting dropped twice by Jason Witt, the grappler is just not really the best look in my opinion. So I'm going to say Matt Brown knocks out Barberena. I'm going to say in the first or second round. I just don't think that Barberena looks the same at this point, and although Brown is 41, he's shown that he can still go out there and perform really well. So give me Matt Brown, first round knockout in his hometown. All right, a couple fights left. This is my favorite fight of the night. I think this is clearly the best fight on the card here. We have Askar Askarov going against Kai France. Should be a very fun one. We will start with Askar Askarov, who is 29 years old, 5'6", with a 67-inch reach, 14-0-1, and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Kai France, 28 years old, 5'4", with a 66.5-inch reach, 23-9, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So, take a look at the odds here, and Askarov is one of the biggest favorites on the card. He is currently sitting at minus 300, open at minus 200. Kai France open at plus 170. He is currently plus 250. So, yeah, Askar Askarov, this guy is a serious problem in the division just because of his style. Like, the striking is solid, but his bread and butter is that wrestling and that grappling, and this guy can wrestle for 15 minutes, absolutely no problem. Very good wrestling when he takes you down. He can keep you down. He can take your back. The grappling is really good. He was able to take down Joseph Benavidez 5 times in his last fight, was able to control him for 5 minutes, which really impressed me because we know Joey B has a phenomenal get-up game, and I like how Askarov was able to hold him down at some points as well. He was able to take down Brandon Moreno 4 times. He was able to take down Pantoja 2 times as well, and in that Pantoja fight, he was able to control him for over 5 minutes. So he's able to do this to very, very good grapplers, black belts, Pantoja, Benavidez, Moreno, guys like that. So he's looking really good, but on the feet, he's probably not going to want to strike for long. Kai France has a ton of power, and he's showing that off in his last couple fights, knocking out Bontorin after getting taken down and almost subbed in the first round, knocks him out with like 5 seconds left in the first round, and then knocking out Cody Garbrandt, dropping him twice, and just dominating Cody Garbrandt. Phenomenal performance here, but this is a completely different matchup than his last fight against Cody Garbrandt. Askar Askarov, I think, is going to go for takedowns early and often. We are in the bigger cage, which, that's going to favor a guy like France, but, Askar Askarov's relentless. I don't think he's going to give France many opportunities to knock him out. I think he's going to take down France, who, has good takedown defense, but we saw that, once he does get taken down, he can't be controlled, and Bontorin kind of, showed that in his fight 2 fights ago with him. Bontorin is able to take him down, take his back, almost sub him. I think Askar Askarov can do the same thing here, win minutes on the mat. But yeah, if this fight was standing the entire time, yeah, you got to favor France for sure. This guy's a ton of power, but Askar Askarov is going to clearly mix in the takedowns here and probably win a decision, and probably a pretty close decision, I'd say. But yeah, give me Askar Askarov to grind this one out and win that decision. All right, co-main event, we have Joanne Wood going against Aleksei Grasso, and we will start with Aleksei Grasso here. So Grasso, she's going to be the younger fighter, 28 years old, 5'5", with a 66-inch reach, 13-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Joanne Wood, 36 years old, 5'6", with a 65.5-inch reach, 15-7, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Grasso opened up minus 185. She's currently minus 235, and Wood opened up plus 160, and she is currently plus 200. And I really do think Wood's getting counted out here for really. I don't want to say there's no reason, but I've seen people say Wood is completely washed. She's done. She's checked out. But you go and just look 4 fights ago. She was supposed to fight Valentina Shevchenko. She ends up taking the Jennifer Maia fight. She gets submitted in the first round, and then she bounces back against Jessica Ai in what looked like the best performance ever out of Joanne Wood. I mean, she looked phenomenal in that Jessica Ai fight. And I know it's Jessica Ai, but still, she looked really good in that fight. And then after that, just back in 2021, this is against Lauren Murphy, she gets, in my opinion, robbed. I think she clearly wins the first round, almost outlanding Murphy 2-1. I think she loses the second round, clearly getting taken down and controlled. And then I think she clearly wins the third round, outlanding Murphy almost 2-1. I thought it was a clear as day 29-28 Joanne Wood decision, but she loses that fight, and then she looks bad against Taila Santos, who is now fighting Valentina for the title. So she's looked bad in her last fight, and really that's it. I get she's 36 years old now, but I don't think she's like washed or nothing like that at all. She just fought a very good opponent in Taila Santos, and Grasso's not Taila Santos. This is a very close fight here. What I like about Joanne Wood is she has some of the best volume, if not the best volume in the division, landing 6.71 significant strikes per minute over a large sample size. And then on top of that, she can mix in takedowns, landing over a takedown and a half per 15 minutes with a very good 55% accuracy. So I do think she's going to be landing the harder shots. She's going to be landing more shots than Grasso, but it's going to be Grasso that's going to be landing the harder shots because Joanne Wood has no power at all. So pretty much anybody's landing harder than her, but I do think in terms of the volume, it's probably going to be Wood there. And if Wood can mix in takedowns here, I think that's another path to victory for winning minutes. Grasso does have a 60% takedown defense, and a lot of that is because she did fight Suarez. Suarez took her down twice in 2 minutes in the first round, submitted her. Carla Esparza took her down 4 times in a 15-minute fight that went to decision. Macy Barber took her down 3 times, and maybe Wood can get her down here or there, but I think on the feet it's going to be very competitive. Unless I'm wrong, unless Wood is completely washed, unless she's a complete bum now, unless she's, on her way out, I just don't get this line really at all. Yes, she looked bad in her last performance, but she looked bad against Taila Santos, who's a beast, an absolute beast. She hurt her twice in that fight and then ended up submitting her. I don't think Grasso was going to, do that at all. I don't think Grasso has a knockdown in the UFC, and yes, she does not. And Joanne Calderwood or Joanne Wood, I keep getting them confused. But yeah, Joanne Wood, I think that was the very first time. Yeah, that was the very first time Wood's ever been knocked down against Taila Santos. And again, Taila Santos is a beast. So I'm actually going to take the dog here. A lot of people are going to disagree with that, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Wood is a washed bum at this point, but I just think she had a very tough fight in her last fight, a very tough opponent. And you look back to the performances before that against Lauren Murphy, she won that fight, first of all, and then against Jessica Eye, her best performance I've seen. I think this line's like wide. So I'm going to take the dog here in Joanne Wood. I'm not betting this fight. I'm trying to stay away from fights like this. But I'm going to take Wood for the upset to win a very competitive decision. And let's see what happens there. Wood, decision. Let's see what happens. Curtis Blaydes, Chris Daukaus, main event. Me and Weezy will be on the MMA Engine YouTube channel breaking down this main event. Come check us out there. But we have Curtis Blaydes, 31 years old, 6'4", with an 80-inch reach, 15-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Chris Daukaus, 32 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 12-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Blaydes is minus 400, opened up minus 300, and Daukaus opened up plus 250, is now plus 330. So we have Blaydes as a huge favorite, and I'm really curious to see what this line would have been if Daukaus either beat Lewis or did not fight him yet, because there was a lot of hype on Chris Daukaus. I mean, Chris Daukaus was a favorite against Derek Lewis, and I think a lot of that hype just vanished out of nowhere, because a lot of people are counting out Chris Daukaus in this fight, including me, because this is a horrible stylistic matchup for Chris Daukaus. Chris Daukaus on paper, 100% takedown defense, but nobody's tried to take him down yet. If you do want to see his takedown defense tested, you do got to watch fights outside the UFC. I was able to go back and watch some of his fights from 2016, 2015, and he's getting taken down easily, and I do think he's improved massively since then, but he can be taken down. I don't think he has great cardio. I think Blaydes is going to take him down at will. I think Blaydes is going to take him down easily here and eventually break Daukaus and probably finish him in the second or third round. As long as Blaydes just comes out here and fights smart and doesn't really mess around in the striking, and I think he could strike with Daukaus. I think Blaydes' striking is very good, but just why would he do that? I think he's going to take down Daukaus at will, take him down easily, rinse and repeat. I know Daukaus is a black belt. That's going to be a talking point this week, but if you take a look at Daukaus' record in 16 professional fights, he literally has no submissions. So he has one submission technically, but his opponent tapped his strikes, and so he has actually no submissions on his record, and I don't see him submitting Blaydes off his back. So should be an easy fight from Blaydes. This is heavyweight, though. Anything could happen. I also thought Blaydes would easily beat Derek Lewis, but that did not happen. So maybe Daukaus can knock him out, but you take a look at Blaydes, and his only losses come to Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis. two of the hardest hitters in the division. And I just don't see Daukaus knocking him out here. So yeah, give me Blaydes here. I think Blaydes, give me a second or third round TKO. I think he finishes Daukaus, which is a shame because I like Daukaus quite a bit. He's taken this fight, and I don't think he should have took this fight, man. But yeah, we'll go Curtis Blaydes, second or third round TKO to get the job done. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I kind of ran through these here. It should be a good card. As always, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Not going to have a ton of action this week, but hopefully have another winning week. It's been a phenomenal 2022. Looking to finish the first quarter of 2022 strong this week and hopefully get another win there. So yeah, that's about it. Follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS_numbers. I'll be posting my final picks with the methods there on fight day. And yeah, best of luck for UFC Columbus, guys.